I can't believe that dumbass plan worked.
You're welcome. And as a reward, I have a proposal.
Oh, ABBA.
I want back in. And I am allowed one Borat impersonator per year.
Can he be less drunk?
He won't be as good, but I can ask.
Things are heating up on Lighthouse Fireworks Night. Feel it burning up on Lighthouse Fireworks Night. We found the fish, then we got our wish. Now the whole darn village can't pretend it's being plundered and pillaged on Lighthouse Fireworks Night. Burning up on Lighthouse Fireworks Night.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
The investigation into the fire at Robbins Lumber in Searsmont is underway as officials work to determine the cause and origin of the explosion that killed one firefighter and injured several others. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday night. For Fox 22 News at 10, I'm Doug Banks. Investigators from the State Fire Marshal's Office were joined by special agents from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives National Response Team this morning. The Fire Marshal's Office shared an update this afternoon that fire investigators from both agencies will conduct a joint scene examination focused on determining the origin and cause. Operations at the scene are expected to continue throughout the week. The scene will remain secured. The fire and explosion at the Searsmont Mill Friday morning was unprecedented, drawing dozens of first responders to the scene. Initial crews called on backup, describing the scene as a mass casualty incident. Our Kelly Warren tonight provides us with a recap of what transpired in Searsmont on Friday and Saturday.
The Searsmont Fire Department was dispatched down to Robbins Lumber Company.
This is a mass casualty incident.
A fire at Robbins Lumber at 506 Main Street in Searsmont claimed the life of an on-duty firefighter, injured several, and left crews battling hot spots well into the following day.
Chaotic scene initially, and not because of the efforts of the first responders, but because of the magnitude of the fire involvement.
The Searsmont Fire Department was the first to arrive just after 10 a.m. Friday, with multiple other Waldo County volunteer departments responding to knock down what started as a fire inside a silo in the mill.
There's been a huge explosion. The silo just exploded. Multiple firefighters injured and burning.
During their suppression efforts, an explosion occurred, causing a mass casualty incident. One firefighter was found deceased on the scene, identified as 27-year-old Andrew Cross of the Morrill Fire Department. Several individuals were initially reported to be in serious and critical condition.
How many injuries do we have?
Known at least 10, if not more. A lot of people with third degree.
A statement on Saturday from Maine Health Medical Center in Portland says that personnel continue to treat 8 patients who were injured. 2 were treated and transferred. All employees of the mill were accounted for.
Buildings can be replaced, employees cannot. And the fire department has done a tremendous job.
Dozens of agencies helped assist from across the state, providing mutual aid, while community members came together to offer food, water, and support.
Here in Waldo County, most of our fire departments are made up of volunteers. They're awfully incredible, dedicated individuals.
At 2:15 p.m. Saturday, command was terminated, resulting in 28 difficult hours fighting that fire.
There were 3 towns that each lost one apparatus, so that's definitely a hole that'll need to be filled, but not as important as the people that are hurt.
The investigation into the cause of the fire is underway. In Searsmont, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
We now turn our attention to the Morrill firefighter who died at the scene Friday, Andrew Cross. The Liberty Fire and Rescue Department shared a video showing the somber moment Cross's body was removed from the scene of the fire on Friday. We're going to show some of that footage now. Fire department posted the video to social media, sharing that every individual present at the scene of Robbins Lumber stopped and united to facilitate the beginning of Andrew Cross's transportation to Augusta. Added that one of their firefighters completed basic fire school last year with Cross as his training partner and is deeply affected by this loss. They noted that this underscores the strong bonds formed during training and collaborative work a sentiment that becomes known when viewing this video. The following day, the Maine State Police, alongside dozens of fire, EMS, and police agencies from across the state, took part in an honorable transfer of 27-year-old Andrew Cross. This was the scene from yesterday's procession in Belfast.
I just think that Andrew is the type of guy that if you knew him for 5 minutes, you had a friend. I have a 12-year-old son, and when he gets older, I'd like to have him be just like Andrew.
It meant a lot. There were people lined up all the way from Augusta to here along the side of the road as the procession went by. So I think that meant a lot, and I hope that means a lot to the family.
We're all here to support, these families, and we hope that, we hope that by being here, they can understand that we stand with them.
We're just kind of trying to understand it and absorbing the loss.
It's just a terrible loss for everybody. Been an emotional 24 hours, and we're not done.
The Fire Marshal's office today said they're also monitoring the conditions of patients receiving care at hospitals throughout New England, many of whom remain in critical condition tonight. We're also learning more about a firefighter who is recovering after sustaining serious burns from Friday's explosion. Firefighter Catherine Page is a member of the Belmont Fire Department and a lieutenant for the Northport Fire Department. She was at the scene on Friday when the silo exploded and was severely burned. That's according to her husband, Belmont firefighter Paul Page. According to Belmont's fire chief, Ron Harford, Catherine is the kind of firefighter they can always count on, and she was also named Firefighter of the Year last year. Catherine Page was one of the many who was transported to Maine Medical Center in Portland. Her husband shared an update today that she is responsive but is on a breathing tube and will need several surgeries and skin grafts. A GoFundMe has been set up to support her anticipated long road to recovery. That information can be found on our website, foxbangor.com. Officials from the town of Searsmont have shared that the town will be establishing an official relief fund in the coming days to support individuals and families affected by the Robbins lumber fire. Officials are also warning people that many unofficial fundraisers have already begun circulating online. The town shared in a social media post that they are encouraging everyone to be vigilant and to double-check the source of any fundraiser before contributing. Once the official town relief fund is fully set up, official donation instructions will appear on the town's Facebook page and website. And later on in the broadcast here tonight, we'll share with you some of the people who are actually out supporting those in need over the past couple days. We hope you'll stay tuned for that later tonight. We move on to other news here in the broadcast. Authorities have recovered the body of the missing paddleboarder who went missing on Graham Lake earlier this month. According to the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, the body of Grayson Moat, 20 years old, out of Ellsworth, was found Friday evening by a family member who was out searching for him by boat. He was reportedly found dead approximately 2/10 of a mile from the shore of Graham Lake. The intensive water and air search for Moat began when he had gone missing while paddleboarding on Graham Lake on Tuesday, May 5th. Authorities say his body has been transported to the state medical examiner's office. And in response to the tragic death of Grayson Moat, the Ellsworth community is stepping up to offer support for the family. On Wednesday, Helen's Restaurant in Ellsworth will host a benefit spaghetti dinner. The owner of Helen's Restaurant shared that she has known the family for decades, and she says this is a profound loss that resonates throughout the entire community. All of the money raised will go to the Moat family to help with funeral arrangements or other expenses.
It's something to us that family just should not have to think about, and we're all happy to help and donate so that that's one less thing that they have to worry about.
There will also be a silent auction. For more information, it can be found on the Helen's Restaurant of Ellsworth Facebook page. The dinner will be held from 4:30 to 6:30 this coming Wednesday. In other news, multiple people have been displaced and a residence is badly damaged following an early morning fire in Brewer today. According to Captain Joe Doughty with the Brewer Fire Department, crews responded to 508 South Main Street in Brewer at around 1:30 a.m. for a structure fire. Upon arrival, they found heavy fire coming from the back of the structure. According to Captain Doughty, this was a 3-unit building with 5 tenants home at the time. He says everyone made it out safely before crews arrived on scene, and thankfully nobody was injured.
We all work together with cooperation from Bangor, Orrington, Eddington, Holden, and Dedham. We all worked together and extinguished the fire and knocked it down and took care of it.
The building has not been deemed a total loss, but it did sustain significant damage. The cause of the fire, authorities say, is under investigation. To Millinocket now. After years of planning, a boost to one of rural Maine's healthcare systems came to fruition on Friday as Millinocket Regional Hospital unveiled its new ER department. Here's that story.
We are here for you, and we're not going anywhere.
A new chapter for one rural Maine community in its healthcare system was unveiled on Friday as Millinocket Regional Hospital held a ribbon-cutting ceremony for its new ER department, doubling the number of working bays, expanding the footprint of the department by more than 11,000 square feet, and bringing state-of-the-art technology to provide state-of-the-art care.
It takes a village to build something of this magnitude in rural America.
The ceremonial groundbreaking took place on New Year's Eve 2024. Around $13 million in congressionally directed spending went into the project and was provided by Senator Susan Collins.
The generous contributions to the new emergency department received from so many individuals, foundations, businesses, organizations demonstrate how much this hospital means to this region.
The opening of this modernized emergency department marks a significant step forward in our organization and for the community we serve.
The total cost of the project was around $17 million. In early June, hospital officials say they'll be transitioning operations from the old ER to the new ER.
Then the current space will be renovated, and once the renovation of the current ER is completed, the two sections will be joined together to make one large emergency department.
In Millinocket, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
A local organization hosted a community event to celebrate the newest affordable housing development for seniors in Bangor. Our Alexa Kennedy has a story.
Penquis, a Maine community-based organization, hosted an event at Milford Place in Bangor to celebrate the construction of its newest affordable housing units for older adults. The project will bring 40 single-bedroom apartments to the community and is expected to open in April 2027. Community leaders, project partners, and supporters gathered for tours and a ceremonial hammer and nail signing to mark the milestone.
What we know in Maine is that we have a real lack of affordable housing for all ages, but in particular for older Mainers.
Operations Manager for Penquis, Peter Malia, says rising costs and inflation continue to impact seniors' fixed incomes, making housing inaccessible for many.
We are definitely seeing that trend take place locally. If you look at our shelters, the amount of older adults who are relying on our shelters is increasing faster.
Hay says the development will set aside 8 units for individuals from the Bangor area homeless shelter.
A lot of variables really are pushing against the feasibility of this project, but we continue to persevere.
Malia says affordable housing projects are increasingly difficult when navigating changes in construction costs and interest rates.
The community, it helps folks that may be insecure about housing as they age and be able to remain in the community, and that's the biggest part of this.
Rogers says the development includes community rooms to encourage socialization, keeping older individuals active and involved.
Being together with 40 other residents in a community and having dignity and long-term housing is just, it helps people to stay healthy and thrive, and that matters so much to us as an organization.
Hayes says Milford Place was made possible through endless community support.
A project like this takes a lot of partners, local, state, and federal, and it's because of the work and commitment of many that got us here.
In Bangor, Alexa Kennedy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, folks, let's turn things over to Chase Ropinack, who's in now. The first look at our forecast. Chase?
Thank you very much. Another warm one out there for today. There was a front in the area, but that wind out there that was gusting near 35 to even 40 miles per hour at times did help us warm up into the upper 70s once again here in Bangor. Same for Bar Harbor. We saw some 80s out there for today, mid 80s in fact, near Sanford and Freiburg at 84 for you today. But you did feel the effects of the cold front up north for today, staying in the mid to upper 60s for Clayton Lake and Prescott. But that's still pretty nice temperatures out there for this time of year. So for tonight, increasing clouds. There will be a few showers showers tomorrow afternoon ahead of the warm front on the way for your Tuesday and Wednesday. Looking to stay light out there. There's going to be a lot of dry air at the surface for this to overcome. It does look like it will do it, but again, only some light showers passing by for tomorrow afternoon, but the clouds will keep us a bit cooler. So out there for tonight, we're seeing some partly cloudy skies out there. There will be increasing cloud cover throughout the night, so you're looking at lows near the mid to upper 40s for tonight.
Good to know, Chase. Thank you for that report. We'll see you later on the broadcast. Folks, after the break, we'll take a look outside the state at some national stories. We'll be right back.
Tech that lets you be you, how it should be. The Hyundai Tucson. Lease an all-wheel drive Hyundai Tucson SE for $209 a month, or get 0% APR plus 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry in.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
With the great backyard comes great responsibility. From the keeper of the flame to the referee of the greatest game ever played. Lifelong memories start here at Glen Burn Landscape and Supply. Residential and commercial projects are a breeze with our premium mulch, stone, and topsoil products. And maintain your backyard in style with the industry's leading lawn care products and equipment. Built to work and built to last. With rugged durability and superior performance, these tools were built for you. Glen Burn Landscape and Supply, where great backyards begin.
When the morning light hits Maine, start your day with Good Morning Maine. Craig Colson, Janessa Bishop, by your side, bringing the stories that matter statewide. Local news and the forecast ahead. Wake up informed, ready to go on ABC 7 and Fox 22.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. A drone strike caused a fire at a nuclear power plant in the United Arab Emirates. The UAE says no one was hurt. There have also been no reports of safety issues on site, but the attack has sparked concerns about the risk of a wider war if the tentative ceasefire between the U.S., Israel, and Iran ends. Fox News correspondent Ashley Webster has the story.
President Trump issues a new warning to Iran following a 30-minute call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday. The president posting on Truth Social, "For Iran, the clock is ticking and they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence." The threat comes amid reports that the president and Netanyahu are preparing to renew attacks on Iran as peace negotiations remain stalled. This would effectively end a ceasefire agreed to last month. It's a move gaining support among some Republicans.
I think we hit a wall on deal making. I would encourage the president to look at reducing Iran's military capability even further. They've been dramatically weakened, but they're still targets that could weaken them more militarily.
But Iran's foreign minister has questioned why attacks need to resume after both sides claim to have destroyed almost all of Tehran's nuclear capabilities.
These contradictory statements truly indicate the depth of America's confusion regarding their objectives in this war.
Meanwhile, back home, the war's impact continues to be felt at the pump. According to AAA, the national average for regular gas is now more than $4.50, sparking concerns from some legislators.
Yes, we have to focus on national security. Yes, we have to focus on foreign policy. We got to do it all. Yeah. But we cannot ignore the fact that half of Americans are stressing over their family budgets.
Those high prices come as passage through the Strait of Hormuz remains disrupted amid the war and the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports. In Tel Aviv, Ashley Webster, Fox News.
Ukraine launched a massive drone strike against Russia following a week of heavy attacks by Moscow. Fox News correspondent Stephanie Bennett has the latest.
Russian defenses shot down 81 drones heading for Moscow overnight, according to the city's mayor.
3 people were killed near Moscow and a 4th died in the Belgorod region. Russia's defense ministry said by midday, more than 1,000 Ukrainian drones had been downed in the past 24 hours. President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the overnight attacks on X, saying, quote, "Our responses to Russia's prolongation of the war and its attacks on our cities and communities are entirely justified," adding that Ukraine was able to strike targets more than 300 miles from the border. It comes in response after a heavy week of attacks by Russia, who launched more than 3,100 drones, 1,300 guided aerial bombs, and 74 missiles against Ukraine, taking the lives of 52 people while affecting and injuring more than 340 others, according to Zelensky.
Дуже серйозний результат. We will increase all forms of supply for our army. Drones, ground robots, shells, all resources to maintain proper protection and our active frontline operations.
The uptick came immediately after a brief ceasefire last weekend that allowed Russia to hold its annual Victory Day parade, which was noticeably scaled back without the usual rows of tanks and ballistic missile carriers. And Saturday night, President Zelensky claimed that Russia is looking for new soldiers by simplifying access to citizenship for people of Transnistria, a region of Moldova, because citizenship means military obligation, while also staking claim to that territory. Later this week, the Kremlin says President Putin will head to Beijing to meet with the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping. In London, Stephanie Bennett, Fox News.
All right, folks, still to come here on Fox 22 News at 10. Union workers for the nation's busiest passenger rail service went on strike for the first time in nearly 3 decades. We'll have more details on that. And later on, we'll share with you the community members who stepped up to help the people impacted by the Searsmont Mill incident. Those stories and more as the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22 carries on.
What does Graham Plattner think of rural Mainers? He calls them stupid and racist. And Plattner called some Maine lobstermen drug-addicted pieces of shit. That's the real Graham Plattner. Pine Tree Results Pack is responsible for the content of this advertising.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
Chevy drivers need a truck that shows up the same way they do. That's why Chevy Silverado is #1 in manufacturer loyalty. So they can go where others won't and always get it done. And as long as Chevy people keep showing up, we'll keep building trucks that do the same.
Now, well-qualified buyers can get 0% financing or $6,000 total cash allowance on this Silverado. Plus, get an additional $1,000 when you trade in an eligible vehicle. And now, eligible military personnel can get $1,000 bonus cash on most Chevy models.
Need a safe and caring place for your loved one during the day? At the Merchant Center Adult Day program, we provide a supportive environment where adults can enjoy companionship, engaging activities, and personalized care in a setting that feels like home. Our experienced staff is committed to meeting each person's unique needs while promoting independence, dignity, and overall well-being. Families can feel confident knowing their loved ones are in compassionate, capable hands.
Graham Plattner blames Maine's women for getting raped because he says they get up drunk. And Plattner bragged about having a Nazi tattoo on his chest. That's the real Graham Plattner. Pine Tree Results Pack is responsible for the content of this advertising.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Union workers for the nation's busiest passenger rail service went on strike for the first time in 3 decades. It's led to halted services for the train, which hundreds of thousands of people rely on for their commute to work in New York City. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan has more on what led up to the strike.
It's the largest commuter rail system in North America, but on Saturday, its system was suspended.
Contract! Now!
Long Island Railroad services grinded to a halt after unionized workers went on strike when negotiations over a new contract failed to reach a deal before the midnight deadline.
We didn't want to come to this. These are people
our neighbors, people who live in our communities. But unfortunately, we're here, and it's the MTA's strike.
Despite efforts by the Trump administration to broker a deal, talks stalled between the Metropolitan Transportation Authority and the 5 unions representing nearly half of the railroad's workforce, primarily over pay and health care premiums.
I feel terrible. Terrible. This is going to hurt. This is going to hurt the island. This is going to hurt the city. All we're asking for is fair wages, and they're trying to lowball us.
If the shutdown carries on into the work week, it'll disrupt commutes for more than 250,000 people who take the train daily out of the Long Island suburbs to New York City for work.
We absolutely refuse to make a deal that puts it on riders and taxpayers to fund outsized wage increases.
The MTA says the agency gave the unions everything they wanted in terms of pay, but claims that they were still unwilling to compromise.
It's up to them how long the strike goes on, really. It's their decision. We're not locking them out. They're deciding to go on strike.
New York's governor is urging people to work from home if they're able. In Washington, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
In other news, small farms in Hawaii are trying to rebound after major flood damage. The state's worst flooding in 20 years took down many crops, livestock, and machinery back in March. Data from Farming Advocates says 600 of Hawaii's 6,500 farms suffered $40 million in damages. The majority of Hawaii's farms reported less than $10,000 in annual sales, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Some farmers are debating quitting as Hawaii is trying to increase local food production. State officials are pleading with farmers not to give up because agriculture is critical to the economy. But many farmers say they can't make it to farmers markets with less food to offer, and many farms are too small to be able to qualify for crop insurance.
My plants was really heartbroken. I was really broken about it. Like for weeks, I was crying about it. Like, but I'm okay now but I told myself, hey, I did it before. I can do it again, but there's still a part of me like, are you sure you want to do it?
Some of the devastation that we saw, some complete losses, some partially lost. It was really hard for some of the farmers to come to the markets, but those that were able to come saw a reduction in the supply that they had to bring to the farmers market. So not only our customers are getting less selection and variety of the local produce that we have here, our farmers aren't making as much money.
Despite this, there is some help for farmers from one-time $1,500 emergency grants, long-term state loans, and online fundraising pages. All right, folks, after the break, the Weekend Review. What stories made the list? Find out next.
What animal suggested this image? I mean, we all know the answer, except for that one guy.
Who will be part of the 1% Club? Only Mondays on Fox.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Escape to Two Rivers Campground in Skowhegan. Enjoy spacious RV and tent sites, full hookups, cozy cabins, and a fully stocked camp store. Unwind with riverfront views, outdoor adventure, and fun for all ages. Book your stay at Two Rivers today.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
In Maine, we're proud that our elections
are free, safe, and secure.
Maine uses paper ballots, the gold standard in election security.
Absentee ballots are tracked from the moment your local town clerk mails it to you.
And then they match it to your information when you return it.
And the tabulators used to count all ballots?
They can't be hacked.
Because they are never connected to the internet.
Mainers are known for making their voices heard.
Make sure your voice is heard on June 9th.
Brought to you by this station, the Maine Association of Broadcasters, and the Office of the Secretary of State.
Welcome back and welcome into our weekend show segment, The Weekend Review. Each Saturday and Sunday, we take suggestions to stories here at ABC 7 and Fox 22, ranging from breaking news to feel-good features that stood out to you during our weekday and air them in its entirety. First, a solemn and lengthy procession carried Maine Warden Service pilot Joshua Tibbetts from Augusta to Newport this past Wednesday morning. Authorities say the 50-year-old died in a plane crash this past Tuesday while working in Franklin County. Here's that story from Wednesday.
He died what he loved doing.
Joshua Tibbetts was honorably transferred from Augusta to a Newport funeral home Wednesday morning. The 50-year-old from New Gloucester died in a plane crash on Tuesday.
Such a tragic scenario for the state of Maine.
He was stalking fish and collecting data over Schoolhouse Pond in the Franklin County town of Avon when the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife says his Cessna 185F automatically dispatched a distress call at around 11 a.m. Franklin County authorities responded and confirmed it was Tibbetts who died in the crash. He was the only one on board, and the cause of the crash remains unknown as of Wednesday.
We have been in communication with the FAA as well as the NTSB and will be assisting them with their investigation over the upcoming days.
Tibbetts served as a Maine game warden for 18 years, the last 3 as a pilot. Inland Fisheries and Wildlife says he supported search and rescue missions, conservation efforts, and public safety across Maine.
It was shock. Known Josh forever. Just total shock. Great guy, lived right in the area, did so much for his community and the state.
Corinna Assistant Fire Chief Sean Richards described Tibbetts as full of fun and one of a kind.
He had the nickname of Boomer. He was loud and full of fun and boisterous, and everybody I think that's associated with Josh has a funny story about times that they had with him, good times and good talks. He's really one of a kind. Grew right up in town with him. Coached him in Little League Baseball, Babe Ruth Baseball. Went to our school systems here. Hometown guy, hometown hero.
Richards on Wednesday was one amongst a sea of state and local authorities and community members between Augusta and Newport who paid their respects.
It was kind of somber, but it was also just amazing to see the support for the man, his family, and the warden service, basically the whole state of Maine.
In Newport, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News. Next, Bangor City Councilors voted this past Monday night to prohibit people from storing belongings on city sidewalks. That vote came after concerns were raised about an increased number of unhoused people gathering at Bangor's Pierce Park. But the city still has a major issue to address. Where will they go now? Our Grace Blanchard has a story.
All of us are in survival mode and trying to find a place that we can go, even if it means having to risk our lives to do so.
When the winter warming shelters closed in Bangor last month, many people like Jeremy Belanger and Ash Morrow found themselves sleeping on the street.
When these warming shelters were open, Bangor area shelter was full, and all these warming shelters were filled to the brim. So we literally have nowhere to go.
When the closure happened, it led many unhoused individuals to go to Bangor's Pierce Park.
You know, Pierce Park is right next to the library, and as we know, it's like the last public space, and it was like the only option available to people, so they took it.
However, officials say it has created challenges for police and safety hazards, with people leaving their belongings on the sidewalk.
Just in the name alone, sidewalk, it's a place where people should be allowed to walk.
Monday night, the City Council voted unanimously to pass a modification to an existing sidewalk ordinance that prohibits people from storing belongings on city sidewalks.
It is not good. They're refusing to help us, yet want us off the streets.
Pressure from the community led to a recent reduction of hours at Pierce Park and more police in the area. Councillor Michael Beck says this remains a complex issue.
You know, it's one thing to answer the question of where people can't be. I want to see us answer the question of where can we be or where can they be.
According to Councillor Beck, the modifications to the ordinance will take effect 10 days after the vote. In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And finally, a towering piece of Maine history is getting a fresh coat of paint and a second life. Our Alex Candy has the story.
Big Jim, a 40-foot fisherman cutout that has embodied Maine's heritage for nearly 70 years, is now being restored at Belmont Boat Works before heading to the Penobscot Marine Museum. For many years, Big Jim was known as the first face people saw when entering Maine, and he eventually turned into a symbol of the state's fishing heritage. The restoration will return Big Jim to his original appearance, holding a sardine can before he's put on display in Searsport for the summer.
He's such an iconic image that really speaks to the fisheries of Maine more broadly, not just the herring fisheries and the sardine canneries.
Smith says Big Jim first stood in Kittery along Route 1, greeting travelers before he was moved to a sardine cannery in Prospect Harbor, where he has resided for the past 27 years.
Big Jim, these projects, they don't come along as often as I wish they did. He's part of Maine history, but this will be part of his history.
Miller says the figure was temporarily relocated because the Prospect Harbor property he usually stands on is being developed.
He really is just sort of a symbol of the hard work of Mainers and the enduring traditions on Maine's coast.
Smith says the museum is nearing their goal of $30,000 to complete his full restoration. She says they received donations from across the country.
People just really remember Big Jim from when he was in Kittery and where he is now, and are just thrilled to see him restored and standing again.
Big Jim will be on display at the Penobscot Marine Museum starting June 11th and will eventually be returned to his location in Prospect Harbor. In Belmont and Searsport, Alexa Kennedy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
As the Weekend Review segment continues, we like you at home to be a part of it. Didn't see a story you thought should have been included? Well, then email us throughout the week at weekendreview@wvii.com with what stories during the past week made an impact or stood out to you. Tune in again next Saturday night here on Fox 22 News at 10 for a new slate of local stories. All right, folks, Chase Ropanak is in next with our full 5-day forecast.
All right, it was a warm and windy one out there for your Sunday, but we got more warm temperatures in the forecast, reaching into the 80s for Tuesday and Wednesday, but that energy is going to provide some chances for showers and thunderstorms. We'll have more details coming right up.
Welcome to outdoor living. Welcome to Granville Stone and Hearth. Goodness knows we've been cooped up long enough. Make plans now to enjoy the outside of your home too. Come to Granville and see, touch, and imagine what you can do in your backyard. Light a path, light a fire, grill a meal, sit a bit. It's all in stock. There's a staycation right outside your door with expert help from Granville, one of the largest outdoor living suppliers in Maine. Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
You know, we can go into a room and have absolutely nothing in there, nothing on the windows, no color, no character, no tone to a room.
That's, I think, where we're strongest, is being able to help someone envision what's going to go in that window.
And we leave, it's totally transformed into something that the customer wants it to be. We've often been told we make a room look better just by leaving it.
Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers central and eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters turn scrap into cash.
Foggy's Pub, your place for fun, food, and friends in Palmyra, Maine.
Where's the ball? Release the ball. Let's get it on!
You're making me nervous.
It's Cash or Splash.
The Quiz with Balls, all new Mondays on Fox.
Thank you very much. It was another warm one out there for today and windy as well. Some gusts almost near 40 miles per hour out there, but still going to be a little breezy out there for tonight. The wind is looking to be much better throughout the next few days, even though we are going to warm up as well. So 78 degrees for a high here in Bangor, 72 in Millinocket. Got cooler as you went north because there was a front in the area for today. So mid to upper 60s for Clayton Lake and Presque Isle, but a lot warmer down to the southwest. Low to mid 80s for you. Sanford and Freiburg at 84 degrees for you today. But we are seeing the temperatures cool off for tonight. 30s are back up north, and we're looking at mid to upper 40s here in the Bangor and coastal regions. You will be a little bit warmer, closer to 50 as you head down to the southwest, and it is going to be a cooler day for tomorrow. There is a warm front on the way, but ahead of that warm front, we got some clouds and some showers to get through, and we know what those do. They will cool us off, especially during the daytime hours for tomorrow. So low to mid 60s here in Bangor, and you will see those cooler temperatures off to the north and to the west, hanging out in the 50s. So average highs this time of year in the mid 60s. We'll be close to that. Should be a few degrees below it for tomorrow, but jumping well above average. Here comes the warm front. Tuesday into Wednesday, looking at mid 80s for highs. So about 20 degrees above average for both of those days, but we'll fall right back near average for your Thursday into the mid 60s, near 70 Friday, and mid to upper 60s into your weekend for Saturday and Sunday. But what's going to be nice though for Tuesday and Wednesday is we can see a few showers and thunderstorms out there as that heat is going to provide energy. We'll get to that here in a second, but the winds throughout tonight can be a little breezy early on. They're actually going to lighten up into the early morning, and for tomorrow, with the cloud cover and the showers making their way in, south of those showers, you can see some breezy winds from the south, especially along the coastline. They can reach up to 20 miles per hour, but these models keeping it a little bit lighter. That is a possibility as well. And as we get into your Tuesday, this only goes till about 4 a.m., but you get an idea. Looking at light winds throughout the day, but if there is some thunderstorms out there, they can bring some gusty winds. We're right now in about a marginal risk for severe weather, which is 1 out of 5, so very low, but we'll keep you updated with that as we get into your Tuesday and Wednesday. So increasing clouds for tonight, right? And this is going to lead to a few showers for tomorrow. There is a lot of dry air at the surface. It does look to overcome it, but it may take a while. So just some light showers out there right around 2 to 3 o'clock for tomorrow, passing by the coastline right around 5 to 6 o'clock. And then we're in the clear. A few isolated showers could be possible Monday night into Tuesday. Here's Tuesday afternoon. There's going to be a lot of warming up here in the Bangor area. So we're looking at mid 80s, but we can cool off in the afternoon with those showers and thunderstorms passing by again. Some of these can be strong, posing a risk for some gusty winds out there and some heavy downpours. But other than that, these are going to be not too bad, right? We're still, again, very low for that severe risk. So for tonight, lows in the mid to upper 40s. Some increasing clouds out there, a little breezy early on. Otherwise, we'll be just fine. Heading into tomorrow, we're looking at a bit of a cooler day. Highs back in the mid 60s due to cloudy skies and a few showers out there. Some winds from the south can be a little breezy at times, gusting near 20 miles per hour. So here's a look at your extended forecast. We're warming up Tuesday and the Wednesday. We're looking at mid 80s for those highs, but both of those days do bring a chance for showers and thunderstorms. The cold front clears out by Thursday, mid 60s then, back near 70 for your Friday.
Something to keep an eye out for. Thank you, Chase, for that report. Folks, before we head to break, a check in on some sports from outside of Maine. First, we'll go back to yesterday for the 151st running of the Preakness Stakes, the second leg of the Triple Crown. Entering the race at 7-to-1 odds, Napoleon Solo ran away with his first Triple Crown victory. The last leg of the Triple Crown, the Belmont Stakes, will be held on June 6th. Next, we'll head to the Links, where one of the PGA Tour's major tournaments concluded today. It was Aaron Rai who walked away with a score of 9 under to win the 108th PGA Championship, thanks in part to this near 70-foot putt on 17, which eventually led him to securing his first career major championship victory. Rai battled a tough leaderboard that had 24 different players within 4 shots of the lead at one point today. Pretty incredible. The Red Sox were down in Atlanta today facing off against the Braves. Bottom of the 4th, Braves were up 5. Grandson of Sox legend Carl Yastrzemski, Mike Yastrzemski, hit a moonshot into the right field stands to keep his Atlanta Braves team's momentum rolling. The Red Sox would lose 8-1. Their next game is tomorrow night away against the Kansas City Royals. All right, folks, after the break, our Jack Webb sat down with Hudson's men's lacrosse head coach. Tune in for that conversation right after the break.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Bush, and I know what you're thinking, not another Bush, but hear me out. I'm not a politician or a lobbyist. I'm a veteran, an entrepreneur who created over 900 jobs in Maine. And as governor, I'll take a sledgehammer to Janet Mills' wasteful spending. I'll slash your taxes, property, and income. and put the Democrats' woke policies in the shredder. I'm Jonathan Bush. It's time for a Johnny, don't touch the shredder.
Summer's here. You can celebrate anything, like buying your first car. Yes! Cute. Finishing a big project. Or even your dog's birthday.
He's eating the cup, is that okay? It's his daily fiber.
Now, from the longest-lasting brand, you could get a $265 a month lease on an all-wheel drive Corolla Cross SUV with a $14,274 total contract cost.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
Are your basement walls bowing, crumbling, or failing? Hi, I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems, all things basementy. Our Stable Lock wall system offers a patented, affordable, and permanent solution to save your foundation walls. It stabilizes, fills voids, and structurally repairs, leaving a new smooth surface. All the strength of new walls. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
He naturally gravitates towards one girl.
And it's pissing me off.
Sorry, I don't want to cry.
Welcome back in, folks. I'm here with Hassan, men's lacrosse head coach and 2026 North Atlantic Conference champion, Mike O'Neill. Mike, thanks so much for joining me here today. And we brought you in because of the season you guys had, right? First, I want to start with that championship here. What was that, a couple weekends ago? Beating Maine Maritime 16-12 in the final. I mean, you guys have been close, but how good did it feel to finally get over the hump for you and your team?
Well, first of all, they're a great team. They're a great team. They're well coached. They have some outstanding athletes, and you know, we certainly were hopeful that we could be competitive, but as I say, hope is not a strategy, you know, and so you know, we kind of improved all along, you know, during the season, and just had a great weekend, and certain things fell our way, and we were ultimately successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Maine Maritime, that final game of the regular season, which determined the seeding, right? Where was the tournament going to be held? It didn't go your guys' way. What sticks out to me was that 8-goal third quarter from MMA that kind of helped them pull away. And I want to know, what were the conversations like after that game, right? There's so much energy. There's so much excitement. You know, it gets built up so much, you know, a regular season finale like that, and for it to go that way. And then for you guys to turn around and be able to bounce back, right? What were those conversations like, and how'd your team respond, you know, to that loss?
Well, first of all, in the regular season, going into that, we were the 1 seed and they were the 2 seed. But they came out and just spanked us. You know, they really crushed us, and you know, they were definitely the better team. But it's very hard to play the same team twice in a season, and I think that was a major factor, you know, and we, you know, we were just determined, and you know, it was a tough schedule, you know, for the championship. It was a Saturday-Sunday situation where, you know, we wanted to go, you know, Friday, Sunday, but you know, the third seed Delhi didn't want to do that because they're driving 9 hours, and so it just worked out, and I think we were pretty lucky, and I think we're very thankful that it all worked out our way.
No doubt. And as for your team, you know, what was the difference? You got here in 2021. You guys have been close, but haven't gotten over the hump like we talked about. What do you think the difference was this year?
Well, you know, candidly, I inherited a dumpster fire. Okay, I mean, my team had barely a 2.0 GPA. I had 17 players, no goalie when I got here. You know, let's not kid anybody. It was pretty rough. Yeah. But you know, we recruited hard, and we got some amazing kids, and you know, we were able to, you know, bring our team GPA up over a 3.5. And you know, the kids that we have now are pretty outstanding. You know, Kieran Field, was our leading scorer. He had 101 points this year. He had 87 goals.
Wow.
And you know, he's the 4th leading scorer in the country in Division III. So, you know, those kind of players don't grow on trees, and we're pretty lucky to have him.
Yeah, certainly. That's an outstanding job by you and your staff. And I think just you look at Husson Athletics as a whole, right? This spring, baseball, softball, both lacrosses. How much does, you know, the athletics program and what they pour into it and how serious they take it, how much does that help you recruiting-wise?
Well, first of all, in all college athletics, this has been a very challenging year. A lot of small schools have closed their doors, and so, you know, this past year, you know, budgets have tightened, and you know, I think our administration has done an incredible job looking ahead and making Husson sustainable. You know, as I say, in small college athletics, they're culling the herd. You know, these small schools are closing, and so, you know, we've had certain challenges, you know, in that way. But, you know, overall, you know, we talk about our men's baseball team, our women's softball team, our women's lacrosse team, and our men's lacrosse team. You know, all 4 of those teams, you know, they all have over 3.5 GPA. Those kids are working really hard in their schoolwork. Plus, you know, we've had an incredibly snowy, you know,
no doubt,
spring.
Yeah.
And you know, you combine that challenges with their requirement to fundraise to you know, make things work. I think have led to some really driven athletes and coaches.
Love that, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after the break.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
Need a safe and caring place for your loved one during the day? At the Merchant Center Adult Day program, we provide a supportive environment where adults can enjoy companionship, engaging activities, and personalized care in a setting that feels like home. Our experienced staff is committed to meeting each person's unique needs while promoting independence, dignity, and overall well-being. Families can feel confident knowing their loved ones are in compassionate, capable hands.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes & More has a team of experts trained in podorthics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or the hard-to-fit foot. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear for men and women from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Merrell, and Ariat. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit-and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
Come home to the kitchen of your dreams. At Atlantic Designs, we redefine kitchen spaces, turning your dreams into reality. Our experienced designers ensure you get a stunning new kitchen while bringing function and style to every corner. Whether you're on a tight budget or ready to splurge, we've got the perfect plan for you. Your dream kitchen is closer than you think. So contact Atlantic Designs today and start the process. Your dream kitchen awaits with the kitchen people at Atlantic Designs.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
I hope you're ready for this adventure.
Bear Grylls is Running Wild. All new Tuesdays on Fox.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. I'm Doug Banks. Nearly 1,400 students graduated from the University of New England yesterday. According to a school spokesperson, members of this year's graduating class represented all of Maine's 16 counties, 49 U.S. states and territories, and 6 countries. Dan McCormack of Spectrum Healthcare Partners, longtime UNE trustee and former chair of the UNE Board of Trustees, delivered the commencement address. Nearly 1/3 of the undergraduate graduates this year were first-generation college students, according to school officials. And folks, before our broadcast comes to a close tonight, we're going to turn our attention back to the town of Searsmont and shine light upon the nearby community members stepping up to support those impacted by the Robbins Lumber Mill incident. Folks from the Belfast VFW could be found outside the Belfast Co-op yesterday, set up to get donations from those shopping to then be distributed to injured first responders and their families, as well as local fire departments, based on their needs.
And not everybody understands that every time a firefighter leaves his house in the morning or responds on a call, he don't know what he's going to walk into, and he don't know what the situation is going to be.
VFW members say typically they host this fundraiser for veterans, but they want to help out their nearby community impacted by tragedy. And finally here tonight, there were people in Searsmont rallying around first responders and affected families, and they wasted no time gathering donations as the scene on Friday unfolded. Our Callie Warren has more on that side of the story.
I think even our people, don't you think?
It was our people that wasted no time.
The town,
our customers. Yeah.
The town is so ready to help and jump in.
It may have been a devastating Friday for those in Searsmont, but the rallying of community support made sure that nobody went through it alone.
And we had people calling and just saying, how can we help? How can we help?
Yeah. Fraternity Village Store is the center of this small town and quickly became the gathering point for those looking to nurture their neighbors in a time of need.
A lot of people want to donate. A lot of people have called and asked to donate, and so we've just kind of made this the local point to drop off things. And
we've had someone from Bangor come and drop off water, and people are really coming together.
The parking lot bustled with people all afternoon, bringing in case after case of water, sports drinks, and food for the immense amount of first responders battling a fire at Robbins Lumber Mill. Community members say it was simply the right thing to do.
When there's a traumatic event, there's no hesitation to pull together and do what needs to be done. At the end of the day, everybody here that's showing up, you know, they have family that's there, they've got friends that's there, and if it's not a direct impact like that, you know, they've got friends of friends that are involved in one way or another.
Locals say it was certainly a difficult day.
You know, we know so many of them, so.
Yeah, I mean, we've had their kids working here, so
yeah.
It is definitely devastating.
But the strength of their small town, coupled with statewide support, kept them going.
It's the little things that add up. It doesn't have to be something that costs. It doesn't have to be something that you're giving up for somebody else. It's just a matter of time. A little bit of time is all it takes to make a big difference.
To leave a donation and help support firefighters, first responders, and those impacted by the Robbins Lumber Mill fire, you can visit or call the Fraternity Village store in Searsmont. More information will also be available on our website, foxbangor.com. In Searsmont, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Doug Banks, and from everyone here at Fox 22 News at 10, thank you for watching. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, and hopefully you are too. Until then, take care. Good night.
How many times has something broke down, but the right size tool is nowhere to be found? What you need is Red Dog, the amazing universal socket tool that fits, grips, and tightens virtually any fastener. And now may be your last chance to get one before they're gone. Look at all the different sizes and shapes, nuts, bolts, and screws. Any head will do. Red Dog grabs on tight and locks into place fast. It replaces hundreds of different tools tools, yet it's smaller than a battery. 54 telescoping steel pins mold around any object. Then, up to 150 pounds of torque knock out rusted fasteners. Attach the deluxe drill adapter and drive screws into concrete with ease. Don't let a stubborn project ruin your day. Red Dog grabs on tight. Plus, it tackles odd jobs with precision and speed. No more heavy toolboxes or guessing which size to use. With Red Dog, you'll never search or guess which tool to use again. Look, you could use a ton of different tools for this project, but we did it fast and easy with just one Red Dog. Amazing! You could spend over $100 for a socket set, or you can get the incredible Red Dog for just $19.99. But wait, there's breaking news. Red Dog may be discontinued. Due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, Red Dog is stopping manufacturing immediately. There's a strict limit of 3 per order while supplies last. You still have time to get your very own Red Dog, but you must act fast. Once the current inventory is gone, it's gone forever. The amazing Red Dog. Order now.
Call 1-800-709-0494. That's 1-800-709-0494. Or visit byreddog.com. So call 1-800-709-0494. Order now.
4 international territories compete for the title of Global Master Chef.
My 3 daughters are watching.
Tell them I say hi.
Master Chef Global Gauntlet, only Wednesdays on Fox.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.